kind of circle this back to being a dating coach. Do you feel like with women, is it becoming harder to not settle for the wrong person? Like if you have a client that's like desperate, how you once were, do they ever say, I don't know, maybe my standards are too high, and do you have to tell them, no, your standards are not too high? You have to tell them like,
Yeah,
relax, like have that
yeah,
conversation.
all the time. Yeah, that's one of my top conversations, and some of my top content is also about that, like why to not settle. But that's also a trend that we're seeing in dating is that women are now choosing to be single rather than settle for a relationship with a non-emotionally intelligent man, for example. Like a man who's not willing to look at himself.
That's what
Yeah, yeah. So there are shifts happening, but I definitely do still get that question of like, am I expecting too much? Like, are my standards too high? And then my answer is always no. It's
Yeah.
like it is the case that there are a lot of man, the only word that comes to mind is idiots, but there's got to be a better word for that.
Because idiots is nullify their toxicity. Because
Right.
it's idiot, it's almost like saying they don't know any better, but they do know better.
Right. I mean, some of them probably don't, but plenty of them do, and so it's just
They're D bags.
let's just say that. Yeah, D-bags. There you go. And that's what makes online dating exhausting, honestly, is people go through online dating hoping that it's going to be, right, the princess prince situation. It's like, I'm going to be served my perfect person, like right here on this dating app. And unfortunately, a lot of dating is like sifting through D-bags, people who aren't actually ready to date, but they're on dating apps. People who are on there for fun rather than for actual connection. Like, there's a lot of work that that has to be kind of gone into so that you can really just keep your standards and your sanity at the same time. Yeah, it's a jungle out there. Like, yeah, it's definitely you gotta look through the vines. Like it's really not it's not like, oh, I see you immediately, soulmate. Like that's not what's happening.
Because also you have to love yourself and take care of yourself and make yourself presentable. Obviously, we like to say don't judge a book by its cover, but obviously that's the first thing to see, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the first thing. And I read some studies that the average Tinder swipes, it was a crazy amount of time, but swipes a day, so many things. I think they even sell you like you run out of a number of you can make. I think that's a personal upgrade. Like
Yeah.
it's a monetary thing. It always more money.
Yeah.
So hey, you want to keep swiping? Like addicted to it? Okay, pay more, and people pay it.
Yeah.
But so what do you say to a client where it's like you said, you have to love yourself. You have to take care of yourself, make yourself presentable. Obviously, like how do you like kind of tiptoe around that to a client? Like obviously, you're not going to be like, look at you, you're unattractive. You're not going to say that because obviously beauty is in eye of the beholder. But like, how do you kind of approach that with a client who you feel like doesn't put the best effort in making itself presentable?
Yeah. So I teach this generally in terms of like habits because that's kind of a nice easy entry point for people. Um, so I divided it into kind of like we can say mental health, physical health, financial health, social health, and we can say like recreational health. I forget what I call it, in fact, in the book I wrote. Um, but uh, you sort of pick like 2 or 3 things in each of those categories that you're gonna do for yourself. Because self-care and loving yourself is like actually a really random, broad category of things in the world. So what the goal of that is to begin actually demonstrating to yourself that you matter through the actions you take. So in this case, right, like some physical things you could do for yourself would be like make sure you drink enough water every day, right? Make sure you're walking at least half an hour every day. Like you can just check your phone, like make sure that you have that much activity per day. Things you could do financially are like open a savings account and just deposit even $20 per month or something, like just very basic, like being mindful that you take care of yourself financially. Maybe it means you buy yourself a new pair of clothes, like a new something, like new item of clothing or something that just really makes your day. Um,
You're like confident.
just like,
With your confidence.
yeah, exactly. It's like, what do you need to do for yourself to, yeah, build your confidence and let yourself know that you've got you, right? Like, let yourself know that you're taking care of you. Um, and and it continues, right? It's like then there's mental health. Like, do you journal? Do you have a therapist? Like, what kinds of things do you do for you? And it goes on, right? So the first thing to do is just to start establishing those habits. Like, really got to write them down usually so you don't forget, 'cause the brain loves to forget new habits. um, but just keep returning to it. Like, it is a practice, as what I call it, because it's something that you strive to do and you return to when you don't do very well at it. But it's something that you like get into, like training.
Make it a routine. You have
Yeah.
a routine. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
It becomes second nature.
yeah, writing it down is also something like testing it. So that's very good.
Mhm. Yeah, so true. Yeah.
Because things that when you go with fitness labs and everything that after that don't work out with me, I almost memorize it. Almost memorize it. Like remember, you say you're gonna work out. You send it to them.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a screenshot. You said you were gonna go do it. And it's,
Mhm.
I'll-
Yeah.
because if
Yeah.
you just say I'll meet you there, you're not gonna go. So it's
Right.
like writing it down, creating little small habits. Like I told one of my cousins recently, I told him just little habits here and there. Just get into it,
Mhm.
just get into a routine. You'll feel it, and once you see the benefits, same thing with your confidence.
Yeah.
I don't know your clients. I don't know if you have any kind of like tasks, like for example, like I were dating, which obviously I don't have any experience with that. But I would imagine some kind of task, like, hey, when you go to the grocery store, start a conversation with a stranger. Or I'll pop
Yeah.
if you're heard like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
make someone smile today.
Yeah.
Have a single serve written calendar. Someone make them smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll help your confidence too.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful example. Yeah.
And you're doing your service for someone, making something out. That's awesome, man. Like that's something that I have a little sister, so it's my obligation as an older brother to nourish. And she tells me I give off a lot of boomer energy. So
Mm.
wherever we go, whether it be pharmacy or some kind of room to get coffee there, and I'm not striking a conversation with every single worker, but
Mhm.
it was receptive. That they were
Yeah.
they were engaging and they were it was a chummy old time, the
Yeah.
humor language. But
Yeah.
it was chummy. It was cool dialogue, and it was like, oh, I see you later. That was it.
Yeah.
It's something that as a man, I feel good when I can interact with opposite sex and then not ask for their number. Not
Yeah.
make it be like, okay, here was my objective. I mean, if you read the vibes and if you feel like she wants to do it or she's hoping you ask for her number, that's cool. But it's also cool to have that interaction where it's like, oh, this is just a human interaction. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
um give you your stuff like that. It's just a cool human interaction.
Yeah. That comes back to that kind of like manipulation technique conversation we were having in terms of like, oh yeah, you could just interact with someone. You don't have to like be trying to do something. Like you can just relate to people, connect with people, like have a good time without there being, yeah, like a need to turn it into like some kind of courtship or game or whatever.